Hello YouTube, hello friends and people in virtual world, welcome back to Baggy's TMD. Don't forget to hit subscribe and smash that like button if you enjoy the channel. Today we are going to talk about the dark arts, that is decals and fixing decals to your models. Now, decals, newer decals, like the Airfix ones, this has come out of the Vampire, are all nice decals and you can just cut them out and you can work straight with them. Older decals, which I found on the Dominite, and I'm guessing the TSR2 is going to be the same. Sometimes you'll find the actual decal goes a bit fragile, so when you take it out of the water and try and move it onto your actual model itself, they will just fall apart. So some of the things I use for decals, old decals, I'll give them a coat of this Microscale Industries liquid decal film. Literally take some of this and you brush it over the top of your old decals, and it almost gives it another film over the top of the decal, so when you do take it off you've got this film actually over the top of what you're putting down, so it just helps it keep everything together. Like I say, obviously newer decals you ain't going to have that problem, but with the older stuff, it can just fall apart. So literally, giving it a coat of this just helps protect the decal. It's almost like as if you varnished the decal, like how you varnish your airplanes and that before you put a decal on. It's literally just protecting the decal to help it go onto the model without falling apart. So that, like I say, that's what I use. That's what I do when I'm using old decals. Literally just give it a coat of this. The first thing you do is give it a coat with a big flat brush, nice even coat over it before you even start anything. Now, when it comes to the models itself, is the Vampire I'm just doing at the moment. It's got some fluff in the paint. Yeah, well. So, it's got silver and a bit of orange on it. Before you do any decals, you're best to varnish the model using a gloss varnish. So pretend that's the flat surface of the actual plastic. When you've painted it, you can find that the paint's actually a bit rippled, like that. So if you try and put a decal on, which is like that, it's not going to adhere very well. So if we pretend that's the paint again, and we give it a coat of gloss varnish, the gloss varnish just helps fill all the gaps in, gives you a nice smooth surface to lay your decals on. So then when you are laying your decal on, you've got a nice flat surface as opposed to a bit of a jagged surface that you're going to get if you haven't given it a varnish, or if you've matte varnished it. You've got chances of air getting underneath into all these little pockets, and that's where you can have problems fixing your decals down. So before you do any stick any decals down on your models, coat of gloss varnish just to get that nice smooth surface to put your decals on. So we've done that. We've coated our old decals with some decal solution. Obviously, if we're using newer decals, we won't be doing that. So pretend we're using nice new decals. We've varnished our plane up with gloss varnish to give it a nice smooth texture. Now what we'll do is we'll cut round each individual decal we want. So say we're going to do that one there, we'd cut round it, and then you want a bowl of warm water to actually dip your decal in. This is how I do it. So literally a pair of tweezers like this that will actually close just on the edge of the paper, so you're not actually touching the decal, into a bowl of warm water. Give it a few seconds, it'll actually just start lifting the decal off the actual backing paper. So when your decals sort of started to raise off a little bit, what I tend to use, which I haven't actually got with me, scrabbling around. Oh, there's one. I'll actually use a cocktail stick or just a what's this called, cotton wool bud, just to help get the decal off onto your model. So you literally just, whoops daisy, gently place it on. As you pretend that we've got that on there, just gently placing it on to the actual model. Then you can use the cocktail stick then just to help get any excess water off your model, and it'll just leave that then to dry. If you do want to go a bit more advanced on fixing decals, I tend to use a couple of Microsol products. Microsol Set and Microsol. Now, before we actually apply the decal, what you can do is just brush a little bit of this Microset on where you're going to put the decal. Put the decal on top, and then just take a little bit of excess away that you can. And then what you do is just give it a little coat of Microsol. What this does, it just softens the decal a little bit. So you see we've got a panel line just here on this Vampire. It'll actually help just get the decal just to sit nicely into that panel line. So it'll actually just blend into the panel line nicely and look like it's actually been painted on, as opposed to we've just jabbed a decal down on the paint. So it'll just soften it up a little bit. So you don't want too much, like I say. A little bit of the Microset first on your model. Put your decal down. Just get rid of a little bit of excess with a cotton wool bud. And just a bit of Microsol over the top. And just let it dry. If you've got like really complex curves as well, the Microsol just helps soften the decal. Obviously, once you've put that on, don't start touching the decal because it will make it very, very fragile to go on. So then we've done all our decals on the actual top of the model. They're all set. We've given it plenty of time to dry, and we can give it another coat then of another gloss varnish, and then we can use, which just helps seal the decals in position, and then we can use whatever varnish we want. Then if we want a matte finish or a satin finish just over the gloss. But like I say, that's how I fit decals to my my models. It's not the definitive way, it's just how I do it, and the products I've found are useful to use. So like I say, nice pair of self-closing tweezers, cotton wool bud, cocktail stick, and then we've got the Microscale liquid decal film. It says on there, restores old decals, ultra thin film. And then we've got the Microscales, Microsol and Microset, which just help with the decals actually fixing to the model. So I hope you found that interesting, guys. Like I say, this is just my personal way of doing it. You might have a completely different way of fitting decals, but like I say, that's how I do it. It seems to work fairly well for me. Stay safe, guys, and I'll see you later.